Talk to Andrew Morton, talk to Tom Bauer. All of these people that have written books about her have been like, it's a struggle to get to the truth of who this female was before she meets Prince Harry, because she's reinvented herself so many times throughout the last 44 years.
Let's be honest. If public drama were a competitive sport, Meghan would probably already hold the championship title. Because just when royal gossip finally begins to cool off, her name somehow resurfaces again like that one notification you were convinced you'd turn off the door. And this week is no exception. As reports claim, she is seriously losing patience after royal biographer Andrew Lownie unexpectedly pulled her name into controversy she insists has absolutely nothing to do with her, which makes the situation even more surprising considering Lownie wasn't even writing about her in the first place. His focus was aimed squarely at another royal figure entangled in complicated drama, yet somehow Meghan's name slipped into narrative anyway, almost like an unwanted echo that refuses to fade. And now her team is allegedly in full damage control mode, releasing statements, pushing back firmly, and practically pleading for privacy before the story spreads any further. Because while you might assume that after years of interviews, documentaries, projects, and relentless headlines, she would be immune to this kind of turbulence by now, insiders suggest this time feels different. Mainly because the narrative didn't originate from her circle, but from someone deeply respected within royal history circles. Someone known for serious research rather than sensationalism, which raises the stakes considerably and makes the spotlight burn even hotter, the tension climbing. Quickly as she finds herself trapped in a storm she didn't start, but seemingly cannot stop. And what's perhaps most striking isn't even what was written, but how intense the reaction has been, leading some observers to quietly question whether that response reveals how fragile her carefully rebuilt public image might actually be. Because this situation is no longer about direct accusations or concrete evidence, but about perception, about how certain names keep circling back whenever discussions of royal influence networks resurface. And each time researchers or historians dig deeper into those power circles, her name appears again like a shadow that refuses to disappear, making it even more shocking that this entire wave of controversy began so quietly with no flashy promotional tour, no dramatic interviews, no viral moments designed to ignite chaos. Just a historian releasing a detailed book into the world. Yet, within hours, online discussions exploded. Social media threads multiplied. Headlines followed rapidly. And there it was, Meghan's name embedded within a section no one anticipated, tucked inside a broader examination of royal power structures connected to an entirely different figure. And because Andrew Lownie is regarded as methodical and meticulous, the kind of author who spends years combing through archives, examining private correspondence and rare documents most journalists never even access, his reputation adds weight to the situation, making the development feel far more volatile for Meghan's public image, especially since his book, The Rise and Fall of the House of York, was originally intended to dissect the unraveling of a royal branch long associated with controversy and internal conflict, offering a deep historical analysis of influence, power struggles, and reputational decline within aristocratic circles. Yet instead of remaining confined to that narrative, the conversation has expanded dramatically, and once again Meghan finds herself at the center of an escalating storm she did not officially create, but cannot easily escape. But instead of generating quiet academic discussion, the book detonated across the internet the moment readers noticed Meghan Markle's name tucked inside its pages. And within minutes, social media erupted like fireworks, with blogs, TikTok commentators, and royal watchers all repeating the same stunned question. Why is her name even in there? And just like that, the spotlight that was originally aimed at someone else swung directly onto her, proving once again how brutally fast narratives twist online. Because in today's click-hungry culture, one simple mention can flip the entire storyline before anyone has time to blink. And here's the wildest part. Andrew Lownie never actually accused her of anything, not once. Yet facts tend to move slower than reactions, and merely seeing her name in print was enough to send the internet into overdrive, spinning theories, mapping connections, and chasing patterns that may not even exist, even though the book itself, The Rise and Fall of the House of York, wasn't constructed as a blame game, but rather as a study of how influence quietly travels behind closed doors, who knows whom, who appears at which events, whose name surfaces on guest lists, a study of proximity rather than guilt. Yet somehow her inclusion transformed what was meant to be measured analysis into full-blown digital chaos overnight. Because once her name entered the royal rumor ecosystem, any hope for nuance evaporated, Headlines escalated, hot takes flooded, timelines, and by morning the gossip machine was roaring again, shifting attention away from long-standing royal controversies and narrowing onto speculation about her supposed frustration instead. And that pivot is where the deeper layers begin to surface. Because to understand how she was drawn into this swirl, you have to examine the royal figure already mired in years of controversy. A once high-ranking member of the family whose reputation has steadily unraveled, losing status, influence, and public trust piece by piece. Precisely the downfall Lownie was attempting to document through archival research, private correspondence, and observable patterns within elite circles, not through rumor, but through recurring intersections of names, events, and networks that seem to overlap repeatedly inside aristocratic society. And in that intricate web, he describes a quiet but powerful social orbit where reputation functions as currency and silence acts as insurance, where proximity can spark suspicion even when no involvement exists. And in that context, Meghan's name appeared not as a central figure, but as a peripheral one, a coincidence drifting near a broader social constellation. Yet once that small detail became public, the internet inflated it instantly, tossing around phrases like hidden ties and secret meetings despite zero confirmation, because online attention doesn't require proof to thrive. It feeds on speed, speculation, and the thrill of possibility, and once that fire ignites, no one, especially someone as scrutinized as Meghan, can fully control where the sparks land next. So placing her name alongside a royal already drowning in controversy created immediate digital fireworks, turning what Lownie framed as an analytical breakdown of one branch's crumbling reputation into a headline-grabbing drama centered on her alleged fury instead. And just when it seemed the narrative couldn't spiral further, an entirely unverified rumor originating from Toronto began circulating, expanding the story into yet another unpredictable online saga. Here comes the infamous Toronto rumor, the internet's favorite chaotic subplot, centered once again on Meghan Markle and the endless speculation that seems to follow her name. According to online chatter, long before she officially entered royal life, she allegedly crossed paths with a controversial royal figure while living in Canada. Back in 2013, she was filming suits in Toronto, growing her lifestyle brand, sharing motivational posts, and steadily building her career, while that same royal was traveling internationally for official engagements. Then suddenly, without warning, someone online decided their paths must have crossed. No confirmed evidence, no photographs, not even a blurry paparazzi image. Just pure digital imagination accelerating at full speed. Yet that absence of proof didn't stop critics or supporters from transforming it into a dramatic mystery narrative. Social media detectives began mapping timelines, connecting random dots, and presenting theories as if they had uncovered a hidden royal conspiracy. A dinner here, an event there, and instantly the phrase secret meeting started trending in certain corners of the internet. Meanwhile, Meghan remained completely silent. No confirmations, no denials, total quiet. And in today's hyperreactive culture, silence often amplifies speculation rather than calming it. Every time she chooses not to respond, some interpret it as secrecy, even when there's nothing concrete to confirm or deny. The striking part is how these theories grow larger and more elaborate without new evidence, feeding on repetition rather than fact, that has become part of her strange media reality. She doesn't need to say or do anything for headlines to form. The drama often seems magnetically drawn to her name. And if Toronto felt like a circus, the narrative quickly shifted to New York, where her presence in Manhattan's elite social scene only intensified the conversation. High-profile fashion events, upscale charity galas, rooftop dinners, and exclusive gatherings. Cameras flashing, whispers circulating, every appearance dissected overnight. Some observers praised her networking skills, suggesting she understood visibility and opportunity better than most. Others framed it as calculated ambition. In powerful circles, jokes circulated that she wasn't just attending events. She was strategically positioning herself, building connections across industries, appearing near influential figures in fashion, media, and occasionally within broader royal-adjacent spaces. Whether coincidence or careful planning, the optics created headlines. New York, with its blend of Hollywood glamour and high society prestige, seemed like a natural stage, and she moved through it with visible confidence. Some tabloids described it as effortless charm. Online critics argued it appeared overly strategic. As for the bigger question, did she study the royal family? And did she see a blueprint for wealth similar to figures like Sarah Ferguson? There is no verified evidence proving she strategically modeled her path on any specific royal template. While public figures often research institutions they may enter, assumptions about calculated financial motives remain speculative rather than factual. In highly scrutinized environments like royal life, perception frequently outpaces proof, and narratives can harden long before reliable evidence ever appears. Some critics have drawn comparisons between Meghan Markle and Sarah Ferguson, even likening them to Becky Sharp from Vanity Fair, ambitious, socially agile, and determined to secure a certain lifestyle, though those characterizations reflect opinion rather than proven fact. Still, the narrative that followed Meghan through New York's elite circles often painted her as someone carefully stacking connections like a curated luxury collection, each introduction intentional, each appearance aligned with a bigger picture. And as whispers grew louder, she's climbing, she's aiming higher, she's mastering the royal wave. The transformation from rooftop soirees to palace gates felt dramatic and, to some observers, strategically impressive. Yet the same Manhattan crowd that watched her rise has, over time, become a source of retrospective storytelling, with questions surfacing about who helped bridge the gap between elite social circuits and royal introductions. Because behind nearly every significant social elite, there's usually someone quietly opening doors. And in Meghan's case, many commentators frequently point to Marcus Anderson, a well-connected figure with ties across entertainment, fashion, and international high society, known for moving fluidly between influential rooms and facilitating introductions with apparent ease. According to widespread speculation, though never formally confirmed, his network may have helped expand her access to exclusive events, charity galas, private gatherings, and polished London circles that once seemed distant. And whether framed as genuine friendship or elite-level networking, the visible outcome was clear. Opportunities expanded, and she stepped into them confidently, publicly. She appeared as an actress sharing lifestyle insights and motivational reflections, but critics argue that behind the scenes she was methodically strengthening her professional and social capital, with every photo, handshake, and appearance contributing to a broader trajectory. To supporters, it was smart positioning. To skeptics, calculated ambition. Either way, the rise did not look accidental. Marcus often appeared nearby in photographs at dinners in carefully timed social settings, not as a headline, but as a consistent presence in the background, which is why his name resurfaces whenever conversations turn how certain elite doors opened. Coincidence or strategy depends largely on perspective, but what remains consistent is a perception that her warm public charm operated alongside a clear sense of direction, blending approachability with ambition in a way that kept both admirers and critics watching closely. And that strategy, as critics frame it, seemed poised to pay off in dramatic fashion, because the next chapter of the story didn't unfold inside a glittering ballroom or beneath flashing red carpets, but instead shifted to a tropical backdrop, Jamaica, 2017, where what was meant to be a quiet private wedding getaway quickly transformed into headline fuel the moment Meghan Markle arrived. Under blazing sun and among flowing cocktails, online chatter later painted the weekend as less about the bride and more about Meghan's presence, with social media amplifying images of her poised entrances and polished style, framing it as the Meghan show despite the event itself remaining largely private. Observers claimed cameras gravitated toward her, that she carried herself with striking confidence, and that even casual snapshots triggered outsized commentary. Though, as with many viral moments, perception often outpaced verifiable fact. Then came the rumor that intensified everything. Whispers online suggested a controversial royal figure might have been nearby. No confirmed photos surfaced. No concrete proof emerged. Yet the absence of evidence did little to slow speculation, and within hours timelines filled with dramatic crossover theories, as though a royal subplot had quietly unfolded beachside. Official sources said nothing, and that silence allowed trending lists to do the talking, pushing her name back into global conversation not for confirmed actions, but for unverified associations. Supporters argued it was another example of how her mere presence generates disproportionate attention. Critics claimed she understood exactly how optics work. Either way, the narrative expanded far beyond the wedding itself. Fast forward to 2021, a year already charged with unpredictability. and her name surged again, this time tied not to fashion or interviews, but to online whispers about potential involvement in a courtroom matter connected to another royal controversy. Social media transformed overnight into a speculative legal drama hub, with users predicting depositions, testimony, and explosive statements. Despite no official confirmation that she would be called to participate, memes multiplied, opinion threads stretched endlessly, and imagined courtroom showdowns circulated as if scheduled events. Yet the anticipated legal spectacle never materialized. No subpoena, no sworn testimony, no dramatic appearance. Just a wave of viral conjecture that gradually receded without resolution. Through it all, Meghan maintained public silence. No direct rebuttals, no extended clarifications. A communications choice that in celebrity culture often amplifies curiosity rather than quieting it. In highly polarized digital spaces, silence can function like an echo chamber, inviting interpretation from every angle. One moment, online commentators were predicting courtroom cross-examinations. The next, she was publicly associated with themes of mindfulness, wellness, and lifestyle branding, highlighting the sharp contrast between internet narratives and curated public messaging. Whether viewed as strategic restraint or simple non-engagement, the pattern remained consistent. Speculation surges quickly, facts move slowly, and her name continues to orbit conversations at a volume few public figures experience with the same intensity. She pivots quickly, adapting to shifting narratives with the kind of agility commentators often compare to a politician mid-debate. And if the courtroom speculation seemed like peak chaos, what followed pushed the online frenzy into even louder territory, as YouTubers, self-described royal insiders, and social media analysts accelerated every fragment of information into viral content, turning Meghan Markle's daily life into a full-scale narrative battleground. Every smile, handshake, or photographed dinner became symbolic of something larger, dissected and reframed as though part of a long-term strategic blueprint. And even after the legal rumors faded, gossip cycles searched for fresh angles, finding them in Fashion Week appearances, high-profile charity galas, and exclusive gatherings where cameras once again gravitated in her direction. Whether by coincidence or calculated optics, depending on who you ask, she remained a focal point, with observers mapping her movements like digital detectives charting a social strategy board, analyzing guest lists, speculating about alliances, and expanding scrutiny beyond her immediate circle, so that any associated name risked becoming its own trending headline. Her chosen response, continued public silence, functioned as either restraint or tactical patience, allowing online commentary to amplify itself without direct engagement, and in the process the speculation machine grew louder, constructing timelines, revisiting early career transitions, and debating how she evolved from television actress to global headline fixture within a few years. Attention in the digital era operates as currency, and by sheer volume alone her presence commanded it, while acquaintances and peripheral figures occasionally offered half-formed anecdotes that fueled curiosity without confirming concrete details. A toast at a party, a candid photograph, an arm-in-arm snapshot. Each moment transformed into another chapter of an unofficial online saga where perception outweighed documentation. At that stage, it ceased being about verified fact and became instead a question of proximity, momentum, and interpretive framing. Importantly, there is no verified evidence that she orchestrates the chaos attributed to her. Rather, the scale of attention surrounding her name often magnifies ordinary appearances into global talking points. A quiet outing, a brief trip, or a routine charitable appearance can escalate into international headlines within hours, reinforcing the sense that her public identity operates like lightning in a hyper-connected world, striking repeatedly regardless of how measured her outward response may be. Supporters argue she has mastered the art of surviving intense media cycles. Critics claim she benefits from them. What remains undeniable is that she occupies a rare space in contemporary celebrity culture where presence alone can reshape the narrative, turning even silence into a headline and transforming scrutiny itself into a form of influence. Every rumor, every whisper, every viral spark seems to fold back into the larger narrative orbiting Meghan Markle, creating the impression, at least among critics, that even when the world appears to be steering the conversation, she somehow finds a way to re-enter on her own terms. After years of non-stop coverage, insider chatter, and digital pile-ons, the lingering question many commentators raise is what, if anything, is actually happening behind the curtain. Popular imagination paints a cinematic picture. Meghan in California, scrolling past the latest headlines with composed attachment, aware that the internet rarely moves on for long. Supporters argue she doesn't chase headlines at all. Detractors claim she understands precisely how modern visibility works. The truth likely sits somewhere in between. In today's media ecosystem, timing matters. A podcast launch, a new project announcement, or a thoughtfully framed interview about growth and reinvention can instantly reset the tone of public conversation. That pattern has led some to label her the comeback narrative specialist, though the reactions now are rarely uniform applause. Instead, they're a mix of memes, hot takes, praise, criticism, and relentless commentary flooding every platform. Importantly, there's no verified evidence that she deliberately manufactures chaos. However, her name undeniably generates engagement at scale, and in the digital age, attention often functions as currency regardless of sentiment. Each viral debate strengthens brand recognition, whether critics intend it to or not. Surviving that level of scrutiny requires resilience more than spectacle, and remaining publicly composed while narratives swirl can be interpreted as strategy or simply self-preservation. From Toronto speculation to Montecito headlines, from social events to televised satire moments that ignite social media storms, her presence repeatedly becomes a focal point of online discourse. Even when a comedy show delivers a sharp monologue, the clip can ricochet across timelines within hours, producing waves of commentary far beyond the original broadcast. Yet through it all, she continues forward, launching initiatives, appearing at events, refining projects, illustrating how modern fame is less about universal approval and more about sustained relevance. Love her or question her, one consistent reality remains. Her name commands attention in a way few public figures can replicate, and in a media landscape driven by algorithms and amplification, that kind of gravitational pull is powerful.